Good morning, YouTubers, friends, followers. But mainly my good morning is addressed to the subscribers and the Trevorites. Thank you for your continued support. Well, Sunday morning, isn't it? Last night I went out to a community centre known as a Labour Club. Now, I know there's things called Conservative clubs and Labour clubs, but to be fair, I am a little bit uneducated on that side of things. So I had to ask when I was there, what's this Labour Club for? I didn't know. Is it for the Labour Party or is it? No, it's just for people that do Labour. And I went, oh, that's okay then. I didn't want to go in. I don't support any of the parties, so I didn't want to go and spend my money there. Well, anyway, I went in and I found myself sitting at a table beside my partner, who knew everyone. I didn't. It was strange because I spent, I think, about the first 20 minutes listening to a lady on my right who was discussing how she had spent the last 17 years growing beef tomatoes. And I found that conversation enlightening. I was like, oh, okay. And what soil do you use? And she told me the type of soil she uses and when she, depending on the weather, depends when she waters them and stuff. And I was like, just chatting to her and all. And the different flavours compared to oil. So this conversation went on. It wasn't my normal Saturday night conversation, I can tell you that. And then what happened was a lady then reached across the front of me to have a conversation with the beef tomato lady. And she said, yes, my cat's not well. Yeah, its back ends have went. Yes. And I had that conversation. Then my partner says, are you okay? And I'm like, yep. Wasn't really involved in any conversations, but I was like listening to certain things happening. And then one of these things where there was only 2 people working on the bar. Now, there was about 200 people in that hall, but 2 people working at the bar. So I found strange, the queue was massive. So when I went to the bar the first time, I bought myself 1 beer and I bought my partner 2 double vodkas and Coke. And she was like, why 2? And I went, well, I'm not getting back up in the queue. Let's just take our time. Let's relax. Anyway, what I didn't know was the double vodkas that she was being given apparently were like triples. The measurements were wrong behind the bar. Anyway, 3 glasses, talking like a washing machine. Then I went up and I says, can I have a bottle of Beck's, please? Now, the labels weren't perfect. The labels, let me tell you now, the labels were not made out as if they were. So I got the 2 bottles of Beck's. I'm sitting there, drunk the first bottle of Beck's, so I wouldn't have to go back up. I'm halfway through the second bottle of Beck's and I looked down and I noticed the label was scratched. They were selling me non-alcoholic Beck's. Suppose that's a good thing, but the lady in front of me got annoyed about it and went up and had a row. So there we go. Anyway, it was a good night. The whole night was geared towards, it was £10 a ticket to get in. And then there was a raffle in there to raise more money. What had happened is I won't mention his name, but a local guy who's been diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. Is that right?
I don't know. Well, he has cancer, but I don't know if stage 4 is dying.
He's dying. Okay. There's no cure for him, so everyone in the community has rallied together to raise money so he can go and take his son on holidays and do great things with him before, obviously, he leaves this fine planet. So yeah, it's nice to do things like that. I actually enjoyed it. It was quite fun. Some of the people I was sitting with were crazy, probably more crazy than me. But yeah, it's nice to have a reality check and to sit down and to see what everyone's doing. Yeah. As I said, I've had an email from YouTube, which is nice. You're going to speak to me next week. But at the same time, here's what's happening. At the same time, whenever you think your spirit's lifting, then there's a campaign on Twitter. Apparently, I am a racist. I want to shoot different types of people. It's just craziness how these things come about. And every time you're doing well and things are starting to, people try and suppress you. So it is what it is, people, isn't it? You just got to move forward through it. Well, tonight at 7, I'm really looking forward to speaking to Richard Tice, the leader of the Reform Party. It'll be a nice conversation. I spoke to Lawrence, actually, yesterday, Lawrence Fox, and he's going to come on. And he kept saying to me, why don't you get me on with Richard? Get me on with Richard. And I'm like, let me speak to Richard first, because the last thing I want to do is to bring someone in without anyone knowing and to ambush somebody. It wouldn't go down well. It would make me look like a complete asshole, if I'm honest, and I wouldn't do that. So we'll have a chat with Richard, then we'll have a chat with Lawrence, and you're not going to believe this, so this here is an exclusive. I've had a message this morning from Neil Hamilton, the leader of UKIP, and I had a lovely message from his wife Christine, and Neil's going to come on next week as well, so that's going to be good. So I'm going to get... Now listen, before you go any further, I would love to get Rishi Sunak on. I would love to get Keir Starmer on. But you have to start and work your way into it. I would like to see, why should I vote for you? That's our question. Why should we vote for you? That's a big question. What are you going to do for our veterans community? What are you going to do for the UK as a whole? I think everyone should be... I'm very humbled that they've agreed to come on and have a chat with me on this channel and you can ask questions. So I'm looking forward to that. It's going to be exciting. But, you know, my question is, what can you guarantee me if I vote for you? Simple as, are you going to challenge the energy companies? Are you going to make them compete against each other, which means they'll lower their prices? Are we going to continue to pay hand over fist? So there's loads of things that I'd like to see happen, but you have to start off at the bottom, work your way up, people. But we'll get there, won't we? We'll get there. One thing that I am seeing this morning in the media is Matt Hancock, the old health secretary. I'm a celebrity guy. Do you know what? I get annoyed. This is the one thing that I think politicians should not be able to do. See, when you're a politician and you're meant to be serving your constituents first, you should not even have the time to write books, do columns in newspapers, do TV appearances on celebrity shows. No, we don't want you to do that. We want you to fix our potholes and sort out our communities. We don't want you writing books to make... You're making money off the popularity of being a member of parliament. And I think that's wrong. In fact, the worst person... In fact, I won't mention her name, but there was loads of politicians that write books, authors. They're putting out 2 books a year, and you're like, well, I know that it takes months to write a book. So if you're putting out 2 a year, we're paying you to represent us as a member of parliament, and you're giving your time up to be popular. So I don't think that should happen. I don't think MPs should be allowed to have second jobs. That's one thing that needs put in place. And that's one thing I would like to speak to all of the leaders about. Why are you letting MPs have the chance for second jobs? It shouldn't be allowed. They're using their position to gain money. There we go. And I seen a video this morning by Avid and Graham. Their video. It seems that in the UK, there's a false pretense here that apparently we're short of vegetables and tomatoes. I haven't seen it. I have not seen it. Basically, what happens is this. This is what happens. People take photographs in a shop whenever they see there's no tomatoes. Yeah, it's because everyone's taking that tomatoes for that day. They're still coming in as frequent, but someone must wait until they're, or whenever the tomatoes go off and the shop, the people that work in the shops remove the tomatoes from the baskets to get rid of them, to replace them. Someone's taking photographs of the empty baskets and then going, there's a shortage in the UK. There's not a shortage in the UK, I can tell you now. Jesus. You've only got to look at Martin Dawberry, who's a presenter on GB News. He's also the deputy leader of the Reclaim Party, and he's taking photographs of shops all over London filled with tomatoes. It's a false narrative put out by the media. Of course it is. Yeah. And apparently, this morning's media, they're saying that there's 50,000 UK key workers wanting to emigrate to Australia for better weather and better pay. There's probably 50,000 people want to emigrate. There probably is. Australia's a beautiful place. The weather's a lot better. The pay is better, let's be honest. But let's not try and blame it on Brexit. Let's not try and blame it on that. People are going to Australia non-stop all the time. I would have went a couple of years ago when I was employed, but I didn't do it stupidly. There we go. Yeah, I say stupidly because I think living in the UK is not the way forward now. I think we've given up on politics. We've given up on the people. Just my opinion. And James Bond now. James Bond 007. The James Bond books written, apparently are all being changed now because apparently there's hurdy words in there and foul language that people don't agree with. But I don't get that. There's millions of books out there. Millions. Some books are designed for retards. Some books are designed for the disabled. Some books are designed for those of colour. There's Chinese books, German books, French books, Russian books, and TV books. You've got Mission Impossible, Tom Cruise, James Bond books. The people that follow James Bond because of his language and because of what he stands for. The minute you start taking that away, you're taking something away from a community that actually wants it. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And I'm hearing that Elton John has now said he will not play at the King's coronation. Well, good. To be fair, Elton John's probably the wokest individual on the planet. He doesn't stand for anything good in my eyes. He's a friend of the hostage and the handler. And I don't think that he would add any value to the King's coronation. But one good thing this morning, which I'll end with, is this. The Queen Consort Camilla, her name's going to change after the King's coronation, and she will then be known as Queen Camilla. No more consort, it's Queen Camilla. We have a queen. And well done to King Charles for that one thing so far that I see positive. In fact, here's another bit of good news. Prince William and his father, King Charles, have stood back and said, we will not apologise to you. We don't want to speak to you. We will not apologise to you. So it looks like there ain't going to be an apology happening, which hopefully means 2 people stay in the US. But I've been reading lots of snippets this morning. I've had 2 or 3 emails about this. The hostage and the handler, allegedly, their popularity in the USA has slumped so far into the gutter that they're thinking of leaving. Where will they go for a fresh start? Is there such a thing as a fresh start when you constantly want to be in the media? I think that ship has sailed. Anyway, people, listen. You will read negativity. There's always negativity. Whenever someone's filled with positivity, you have people that support the positivity, but you'll always have a couple of snippets bite at your ankle trying to drag you down. Let them do it. At the end of the day, it gets annoying. It's frustrating for me that people constantly put out false narratives, but it is what it is, and you've got to get used to it. Whenever you're in the spotlight, whenever you've got a good YouTube channel, whenever your YouTube channel's growing, there will be people out there, including some of those that pretend to support you, will try and suppress you. And you've got to see past that. You've got to keep focused, or else it will eat away at you. Listen, thanks for your support. I'll see you tonight at 7 p.m. when we speak to Mr. Richard Tice. Take care and stay safe.